Philippines, good evening. Naimag gabi, masantos siya salabit si kayo amin, maya pa bengi keka, marahin na banggi sa Indugubos, maupay nga gabi, ha iyo nga tanan, buenas noches. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala barakatuh. Maayong mayang gabi sa Tibok Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, up to Sabah. Ako po si Erik Espina at ito po ang inyong Republika. Well, tonight we're going to talk about what's front again and center of the public issues. More importantly, we're going to talk to a commissioner of the Presidential Anti-Corruption Commission, his views vis-a-vis Philhealth, especially because Philhealth is going to affect a lot of our low income, middle income, especially when it comes to socialized health protocols. So tonight, we're very happy to be enlightened by none other than Commissioner Greco Belgica, and who is a member of the Presidential Anti-Corruption Commission. Good evening, Commissioner Belgica.
Good evening, Sir Eric, and good evening to all our viewers and listeners. I hope everyone is well.
Yes. Just to put a foundation and before we go into some of the issues in PhilHealth, maybe there's a generation who still doesn't understand what is PACC, how was it born, how was it conceptualized, what is your mandate, and then your vision.
Okay, the PACC po was created by President Duterte to help him investigate and submit to him cases and recommendation as to airing government officials or corrupt government officials and corrupt systems. So we were created in 2018. We functioned started our office in 2018, and if you will see the government officials, cabinet members, undersecretaries, and assistant secretaries, some generals that the president suddenly fires out. These are mostly are results of our investigations and recommendations we submit to him, and then we file cases in the ombudsman after the president approves of our case or after we finish our investigation. Our jurisdiction is among presidential appointees, salary grades 26 and up, and our investigations are submitted directly and primarily to the president.
Okay. Just for purpose of the public, no, what do you mean by salary grade number 26?
These are government officials that are presidential appointees. So high salary grade 26 would be regional directors and up. If for example the president is salary grade 32, so from salary grade 26 up to salary grade 31, who are cabinet members, falls under our jurisdiction.
I'd like to ask you a question. I recall before there used to be an audit office within the office of the president. Do you work closely also with that office? I think there's an undersecretary that's involved looking at being able to audit the entire executive department. Do you work hand in hand with that undersecretary?
I think you're referring to not an audit office, but the PACC.
Okay.
The Presidential Anti-Graft Commission. That was superseded by the PACC. So all functions of the PACC and cases of the PACC were endorsed to the PACC for our investigation.
So you are now basically handling also. Were there previous cases that was turned over to you by the PACC?
Yes, we have acted on most of them already. I mean, all of them we have acted on. Some are still pending investigation.
So technically speaking, PACC actually, in terms of jurisdiction, is the entire executive department.
Yes, entire executive department appointed by the president. Yun po ang mahalaga. Presidential appointees kami. So that would be cabinet members, undersecretaries, assistant secretaries, and some directors. The highest highest level of director. Most of the time, director 4. Basta you fall under salary grade
How
26.
about PNP, Coast Guard, AFP? Does that also fall under PACC?
No, it has to be ordered by the president. Being the chief of commander in chief, if ordered by him, then we can investigate. And we have investigated some. In fact, one general was fired after our investigation.
How many how many commissioners are there in the PACC?
There's five of us,
Okay.
one chairman.
Okay. And then do you have your own respective jurisdiction, or you are at large as far as investigation and getting tips are concerned?
We're at large, but we have our assignments, or yeah, mostly as you have assignments. We have a commissioner assigned for investigation. I'm assigned for operations. Some of the others were assigned to I think budget. Um, but basically, there's no there's no delineation, or we are commissioners at large basically.
Um, for example, if somebody complains in 888 no of President Duterte, do you also take cognizance, or do you also take some kind of action based on complaints from 888, anything that has to do with corruption?
Yes, we receive complaints from 8888. It is sent to us by the office of the president, so we act on it right away because 888 already subdivides and separates complaints and sends it to the right agency. So when it falls under our jurisdiction, it is sent to us, and we act right away. But more so, we depend more on direct reports given to us by the public. We have a hotline
Mm.
and emails. We have we're online, so they can people can check our number in Facebook. Please check on our numbers on Facebook. We have our hotlines there. You can Viber us, text us, email us for your reports, and we will keep your reports and identity um, anonymous. Um, what do you call this? And it's good that you raised that up, Sir Eric, kasi we need help from the public by giving us information because the quality of our works depends heavily on the quality of information that we get. So you can help us by giving us reports. Example po itong Philhealth. This was directly reported to us by well-meaning individuals, no? And especially if you are in government office, we sincerely ask your help and support for the help, basically in our investigation and our fight against corruption, because government officials and employees are the ones who are inside there and who
Mhm.
knows the working inside. So that's basically we get a lot of good information from people working from inside.
Can the public just directly go into your Facebook, into your website, and make reports?
Yes.
What would be if you're going to tutor the public? No, I mean, if somebody is listening out there, they want to report to PACC. What would be the nature of the report, so that there will be some kind of a summarized guideline as to how they would make that report?
First, yung jurisdiction, our primary jurisdictions are yun nga, salary grade 26 or presidential appointees. So these are high-level government officials. However, in the for the for the purposes of, we're all public servants, eh.
Mhm.
So in the interest of public service, all other reports that we receive, example po yung sa SAP,
Mhm.
we have received and acted on as to date, no, mga 6,000 reports
Mhm.
from the SAP amelioration program,
Mhm.
and we've acted on it. Those that fell under our jurisdiction, we took cognizance. Those that did not fall under our jurisdiction were endorsed by the proper agency. So you tell the information that we need are the five W's and one H.
Okay.
Then we also need your name and your number. Just be confident na this will not be exposed if you don't want to be exposed, or if you do want, if it's okay with you to file formal charges, then that will really greatly help the investigation. But we understand if people don't want to expose themselves, so you just get information and get leads, and proceed with fact findings and verifying and validating informations.
Walk us through, no? Walk us through. For example, somebody makes a report, makes a complaint, the 5 Ws and 1 H, and then somebody receives it in the commission. And how does the process go? It doesn't go up right away to the commissioners, no? Or does it? Or does it go down
No,
first
we
for
have
investigation?
yeah, we have an office and people specifically handling those the computers, the emails, the cell phones, the Viber account. So there are specific people handling those assignments. So um, those reports are collated every day and then submitted to for evaluation. In the evaluation stage, this is jurisdiction and information is being considered. If it falls within our jurisdiction, then the person is helped or is called upon. They will receive a call to extract more information and for the purposes of building up a case, a formal case. If it doesn't fall within our jurisdiction, then this is automatically endorsed to the appropriate agency, the ILG, the Ombudsman, the NBI, the CIDG, or whatever agency has jurisdiction over it. So upon filing, when it gets through the formal case filing, then it is filed within the investigation department. The investigation department begins to subpoena documents and people to build up the case. And when the investigator feels that the case is he has enough information, then it is brought to the adjudication
Uh-huh.
office for finalizing a recommendation that will be sent to the commission and bank.
Uh-huh.
Then the NBank decides whether what to do with the case
Uh-huh.
and what the recommendation it will give to the president. Then it is sent to the
So
president.
what happens if somebody reports to you? It first goes to an investigation process. Are
Yes.
these policemen? Are these investigators? And then they look at it if this is an actionable information. If there is basis for
These are
this.
the informations first are validated.
Mhm.
They're validated with the trueness or the legitimacy of the authenticity of the report is validated. So we have people to, we validate information. Basically, we call, we go there, we subpoena,
And these are
and we
policemen.
check on the
Are
information.
these policemen under the PACC?
No, no, they are lawyers, they
Ah.
are our agents. We also use the NBI, we also use the policemen to validate informations. Opo, we have the authority to tap on other government enforcement agencies or law enforcement agencies to help us in our investigation.
And then it's finally brought unbanked to the commission, and then you discuss the entire case. So in this case, this is the public giving you some tips, and then you decide whether to file a case or not. But there are also certain situations where the president himself tells you to look at
Yes,
certain cases.
yes, yes. That is very normal. We are ordered by the president to look at certain cases and build up the case, such as Philhealth. So yun. But the thing with Philhealth is we've been investigating this since last year. So we've basically completed our report and recommendation before it blew up into the media, and we are actually ready
Uh-huh.
to file the case already.
I'll
So
ask this of you, Commissioner Greco. No, it was the president. Just for clarification, it was the president that asked the PACC to investigate PhilHealth since last year.
no, last year there were people from PhilHealth who came to my office,
Mm.
and they found a friend. They went through a friend they came through a friend, and then my friend called me and discussed with me the issue.
Okay.
So then I started investigating.
We're going to pause for a few reminders, and then we're going to leave a hanging question. When a case is about to be brought en banc for the decision of the commission, do you have to prior involve or inform the president that you're investigating a particular individual, a particular official when Republika? Okay, balik ta sa atong programang Republika. Kahinabi paghihapon nato si Commissioner Greco Belgica sa kuan siya Commissioner sa Presidential Anti-Corruption Commission. So Commissioner Greco, no, do you need to, is there a prior process where you have to inform the President that we're about to investigate this person, this official, this agency, or you just go about it on your own without necessarily telling the office of the President or the President himself?
No, we don't do that. We're not required to do that. The president don't like that. Ang sa kanya, do your job, investigate. If there's corruption, investigate. Give me the evidence. Give me your recommendation, and then we will. He's a lawyer. He's a fiscal, no? So he investigates for himself. Looks at our evidence. In fact, meron mga confrontations kami po niyan where the officials being accused and us who are investigating are called by the president himself and investigated, validated. So we answer each other in front of the president. The president decides. This has happened many times.
So harap-harapan ito, open confrontation. This is like a family gathering together and accusing fingers like this.
Well, not like a family, pero can you imagine sitting in front of your investigator, di ba? When in front of the judge. So that's parang siguro parang barangay. So the president does that, especially kasi our job, you get to investigate people you know. We need you during the campaign, become your friends kasi we're one group, diba? So medyo mabigat.
Have you witnessed during such confrontations where the president really, berates, insults the person? Are you aware of situations like that, or?
I've seen a lot. Pero I don't want to discuss it because it's within those walls. But the president hates corruption, so wala akong pinaligtas yan. Wala.
Were there officials na, I guess the president likes using this word, no? Sasampaling ko yung official na yan. Have you witnessed somebody, no names lang, have you witnessed somebody like that?
No, I wasn't there when he kicked someone in the face. He tells us a story.
Okay.
He tells us a story over and over again. Sabi niya, that Marikina shoes is really tough, good. Imagine the brand marked in his face. So,
are you aware of there are also certain officials when they left the palace after being berated by the president? Sa Tagalog pa naging luhaan pagbaba sa Malacanang. Have you heard of stories like that?
Madalas po 'yan. When you come after our meeting with the president, before, during and after, you will be crying if you are in the receiving end. Iyak talaga. Yung iba nga hindi na sumisipot sa takot. I remember an instance where I investigated 18 Bureau of Immigration officials for extortions, kidnapping Koreans, if you remember that. Then extorting 9 million pesos. So they were called by the president there, and I was there because I headed the investigation with all the officials, and a lot of them didn't show up, and those who came out were already crying even before the president went in. Because even us are not informed who will be in the panel or who will be, it's just because we've been there over and over again that we know these are the guys we investigated.
As far as you know, were there in the past cabinet secretaries that you investigated, and because of your investigations, maybe in front of the cabinet meeting, they were told off by the president to resign?
Yes, yes, there are those cases. The first case, our first investigation resulted to the firing of one cabinet member. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the president naman confronts them. The president tells them straight. It doesn't have to be. He tells them straight.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't curse them all the time, but he tells them straight.
As far as memory recalls, no, that you can remember, um, the current administration is the only presidency. Would that be fair to say that you have seen so many officials being fired, being cases being filed left and right? Would that be a fair statement?
Yes, this is unprecedented. This is the first time we see the president himself leading the fight against corruption and becoming the biggest lion, the alpha lion against corruption. I mean, we wouldn't be as we are today if we didn't have a leader like him na wala talagang pinili yan. Mga nakasama, ang dami na nga namin nakasama na naging biktima
Mm-hmm.
ng kanyang dahil get into corruption. How I wish these were our political enemies, no?
Mm-hmm.
Pero hindi eh.
Kasama sa kampanya, no? Kasama sa kampanya, kasama kay presidente, ganon.
Yeah, friends, talaga kaibigan.
And then kilala mo pa.
Ang pinakamasakit po yan.
Oh.
Lalo sa kanya dahil mas kaibigan niya kaysa sa amin eh.
Aha.
So, ganun po.
Okay. Now, as of now, right now, how many cases are you looking into? Are you handling? And then, just to give us an idea how difficult the job of the PACC is. More or less lang, more or less.
Right now, parang 2 weeks ago, we had I asked to compile how much cases has came up to us and how much have we acted, both cases and reports.
Mm-hmm.
I think especially nung COVID, we've acted on I think 10,000 cases
Mm-hmm.
and reports all in all.
10,000 cases, huh?
Yeah, that's a lot of cases that we worked on. That's how busy the office is, eh. And that's how much corruption is present in our government, which is good. Dahil at least now people are telling, and the more work that we have, which is good for us. Not everything goes up to the media because the nature of our work is investigative
Yes.
and recommendatory to the president. So before we come out with the case in the media, we first submit this to the president, and after the president decides on the case, then it's the only time we can bring it out to the open.
You mentioned about Philhealth, no? This is part of our show, part of the title. You were told to investigate it since last year, and initially, what were your first thoughts when this came about?
Just like any other normal case, we take the allegations at face value. We look at the evidence, and then we begin to validate. And then when we were going through it, then as we go through it, we saw the depth of the fraud that's happening. 2 to 3 billion pesos is wasted every week, or is open to corruption every week dyan po sa Philhealth, because that's how much they are paying hospitals weekly. And now that it was brought into open because of the resignation of one employee, we see, we the things that are being brought up in the Senate are basically the things that we were looking at before, and we were preparing to file cases on. So at least sa Senate kasi maganda kasi nagkakaroon ng nararamdaman ng tao dahil because it is nakikita, napag-uusapan, so nabibigyan ng mas matinding mga emphasis yung mga dapat mabigyan. Unlike when you start filing cases po kasi, the court would require specifics, So that's a difference. Specific evidences, specific persons to be implicated, and why should they be, what laws have been violated. So yun po ang diferensya. Minsan, like this, alam na natin na grabe ang ginagawa nila, pero hindi pa sila napaparusahan dahil may prosesong kailangang daanan. So kaya maganda po yung investigation na out in the open.
You said that you were investigating this last year. Last year, WellMed also came out on our newspapers. No, was WellMed part of the investigations that PACC was undertaking?
Yes, it was part of the investigation, but hindi pa siya tapos eh. Like the one that we're ready to file right now. But the president organized a task force. Also, we recommended to organize a task force para buong-buo ang investigation. So now our case will be submitted to the task force for the ombudsman. So ganun po.
So
as the ombudsman is part of the task force, sir.
Okay. Do you see the function of PACC as very crucial to the Duterte administration? Some people will say, why do you need the PACC where there is an ombudsman, there is Sandigan Bayan, there is Tanod Bayan? How do you answer that?
Yes, the PACC po kasi has a mandate to report directly to the president. So that makes a lot of difference because of our president. Whiff of corruption po ang ating Pangulo, and when he sees evidence, he decides objectively kung mali-mali. Ganon. So, iba po yan because his administrative powers and authority, he has powers to immediately fire government officials as easy as his powers to hire them. So immediately we see action, and we immediately taste justice. Then as the cases in the ombudsman take its due course, or the courts.
What you're saying is because there is executive action, there is swifter administrative resolution to certain cases where he finds there is really evidence to warrant such a presidential intervention.
Yes, administratively po. At least the guy is fired, di ba? While being investigated, it's not just suspended, but he's fired out. He's humiliated, he's exposed, so at least on that part, nakatikim na tayo ng katarungan while cases in the ombudsman are pending investigation.
And it is the PACC that also forwards these cases that should be filed against these individuals.
Yes, sir. All our investigations are forwarded to the ombudsman after submission to the president.
Okay. Some people will ask, you said a mouthful, no, in the Senate regarding Philhealth. They're asking, shouldn't the president now, call these people from Philhealth and one by one talk to them, or all of them sabay-sabay, and based on the investigations that you were undertaking, really, eyeball to eyeball, ask them, talk to them, and maybe tell them to resign for that matter, What's your thoughts?
That's the primary purpose of the task force, to break down the case to the president to the lawful level, and to give recommendation as to what has to be done. And then from there, the president will consider the recommendation and decide by himself what he wants to do. Normally, he decides the worser thing than we recommend. Kasi syempre kami, ang recommendation namin is ano yung nasa batas, but the president is after justice. So, kaya yan, pinapahiya niya, minumura pa niya in public, di ba?
I'll ask this of you, Commissioner Belgica. In other situations, there is some kind of a confrontation in the palace. Please give us an explanation, and so that our heads will work. Why did the president in this case come out with some kind of a task force before, calling them into Malacanang, berating them or asking them questions or, posing queries on them? What's the difference between Philhealth and all the other cases why he created the task force?
Because there have been plenty of allegations and unvalidated accusations with this case, no? So these people naman are not people who you expect to get into corruption, you know. So this is different. This is quite different. And if you remember, General Morales was put there specifically for the purpose of weeding out corruption. So when you hear statements and allegations in the media, you need to validate it. And the president has no. It's not the president's job to detail these cases. If people are talking about cases, then let them file cases. Then let me see the evidence, and I will decide within my mandate and within my authority. So that's why a task force was created. Kasi he said, she said, he said, she said. And this is a very sensitive case because this is PhilHealth. PhilHealth is supposed to take care of us when we get sick, supposed to pay for our hospital bills, and they've been, they've been doing that also. The problem is, corruption is being mixed with it. So that's why the task force was created and given 30 days to submit to the president recommendations and cases to be filed in the ombudsman.
We're going to pause for a few reminders, and when we come back, we'd like to ask, of course, Commissioner Bellica, what were the statements that he made in the Senate when he was called by our dear senators, and then we'll try to see how does that dovetail now with the task force, and whether they are in conflict or whether they are actually supportive of filing of cases when Republika returns. Okay, you're back with us. Kausap pa rin po natin si Commissioner Greco Belgica. Siya po'y nasa Presidential Anti-Corruption Commission. At kanina binanggit niya na 2 to 3 billion pesos weekly ang nawawala sa PhilHealth. So, Commissioner Belgica, are we saying that PACC, with the statements that you made in the Senate, has already conducted its own investigation? It has already come up with its own findings? Is that what we're saying?
Yes, we're done with. We've finished some investigations among the many cases that are with us with regards to PhilHealth, and we are actually ready to file the cases. And until the task force was created, so our cases now will be submitted to the task force to be endorsed by the task force to the ombudsman. So yes, we have initial findings that we have concluded already.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the way it sounds, it's the task force now has to review your findings or will conduct further investigation.
No more. It was agreed last week, na since our case is already finished, this will be submitted to the ombudsman. However, it has to be endorsed by the task force because of the creation of the task force. The ombudsman said na, okay, the task force has to endorse this first. So which is good because there will be more experts and more lawyers. And there are other investigators who have their own investigation, like the NBI, the AMLAC, who is part of the task force that may be able to add culprits or informations to strengthen the case.
In your testimony, or if I might use that term, or in your statement, you said mula ulo hanggang paa ang korupsyon sa PhilHealth, and Senator Panfilo Lacson said naliligo. That's the other term, no? So please give us some kind of a summary about what were your findings in the PACC regarding PhilHealth.
No, that's why, kasi, for the last few weeks, parang people were ganging up on General Morales, who is president of PhilHealth. Parang people wants his head.
Yes.
Now, I know for a fact that even if you remove the president, even the entire board, which was what happened last year, that will not cure PhilHealth,
Uh-huh.
because the problem with PhilHealth, it doesn't lie also lies with the executive committee and the regional offices.
Mhm.
The regional offices are the one conduct receiving the claims and disbursing the
Mhm.
payments, not the board.
Mhm.
So, in the interest of truth, justice, and really cleaning up PhilHealth, I pointed out that what I'm trying to point out is, if we are going to remove people, it shouldn't be only the president, not even only the board. We should start removing everyone involved in corruption, including the regions, including the executive committee who are facing charges. So that's my point. Kaya sabi ko mula ulo hanggang pa. Because I have our case prepared, and that is our findings. There are people from the board being investigated, people from the executive committee, and people from the regions being investigated.
Mhm. Ah,
Yun. So now that is that has been placed. So now now we see, and then we recommended the suspension of this official. So now we see regional officials leaving office, which is really good, and then officers signing waivers for bank secrecy.
mhm.
So, yun po sabi ko, it has to be a top to bottom investigation at least,
Mhm.
if we are really serious about cleaning up PhilHealth. And then, as I pointed out po, um, there are only two items or two departments that we need to investigate
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
change for PhilHealth. That's the IT department and the legal department.
Mhm.
That's where it starts and ends.
Why the IT and legal department? Although I recall there was a COA report on the budget being almost the same every year, and there were several packages still brand new, still unused as far as the IT was concerned. So, is it because of that? Partly because of that, and why also the legal department?
Yeah, the IT department po kasi, because it is the internet solution, or the IT solution that they have, does not have a validating mechanism
Mhm.
to validate
Mhm.
claims.
Mhm.
If they had, and normally it does have a validation mechanism for claims, all these frauds will not go through.
Mhm.
This will not pass the claims section,
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
it is fraudulent.
Mhm.
Upcasing, fraudulent documents, it is within the IT
Mhm. Mhm.
system that checks it and approves it. So, we know na wala palang validation mechanism ang kanilang IT solution. That's why fraud continues to persist, and claims gets paid even when it's fraudulent.
What you're saying is
One.
fraudulent is patay na yung pasyente or that person doesn't even exist pero nakakakuha pa
That,
ng claims.
that's one,
Aha.
sir. Yung mga fraudulent documents.
Aha.
Also, kunyari, you're sick, your illness is colds.
Aha.
So you were treated for
Oo.
colds. And then the doctor in the hospital will claim for pneumonia, because
Aha.
the rate of pneumonia is higher.
Aha.
So now they could have done that with COVID. Um, you can only be sick with fever or colds and treated for fever and colds, or even cancer, diabetes. But because COVID rate is high, he gets paid more for COVID. The hospital will claim COVID sa PhilHealth,
Mhm.
and then it is done through the claims are done through internet
Mhm. Mhm.
IT services.
Mhm.
So that's where the problem lies,
Mhm.
because they have no validation mechanism whether the claims is true or not. So that's why, if you plug that hole, then fraud stops.
Aha.
Okay, why legal?
Why legal? Yes, why legal?
Because cases are filed in the legal office about these fraudulent
Aha.
claims. Now, for the many years, for the decades that PhilHealth has been in existence, fraudulent claims has always been a case.
Mhm.
Why isn't anyone being filed a case against fraud?
Mhm.
Because the legal is not doing its job. Instead of filing cases, is probably cleaning up cases
Aha.
so that corruption persists.
Okay.
Yun lang po yan. And we have reports and cases about that.
A while ago you mentioned about the IT, no? there are observers who say that from a per case basis in terms of patients, part of the error, I don't know whether it's part of their policy, they made it packages. It would have been better on a per case basis rather than a package. Like you mentioned, it was just for a cold. So that's very clearly, it was a treatment for a cold and then you pay the doctor. But when you include it as part of a package, it can be from a cold to a pneumonia. So it ends up, Philhealth has to pay more. Shouldn't they go back to the per case basis?
Again, sir, whether you do it, I like the per case basis
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's more determined,
Yes,
it's clearer,
yes.
no? Pero again, a per case basis, if unvalidated, will fail, right? So the point is, you
Validation.
have to validation, sir.
Oo.
100%. Example, sir. My example is, we're built. You're fixing your house, and you had your employee go to the hardware and buy hardware materials. Your employee starts conniving with the hardware and pads up to the receipt, doubles the payment, and asks you to pay for it. You pay for it. After you pay for it, the employee goes back to the hardware and gets commission. That's how PhilHealth is conducting its corrupt system against the Filipinos. Tayo, what we need to do is to validate whether or not the price is correct or hindi, or not. Like when we go to a restaurant, and then a bill was sent to us, we check whether the orders that were placed there, that being charged to us, is our order or the other tables. Otherwise, you'll end up paying unvalidate for not validate, paying for bills that you did not check. Ganun po yan.
PCSO, for example, if you're going to ask for some funding support for their health, they require a medical construct. I don't know why, I'm just asking, I mean, shouldn't there be some kind of a medical construct before you're able to get X number of amount of money based on that medical construct instead of just a complete package on or even on a per case basis? Shouldn't there be some kind of, that could be one form of validation? Hindi natin ginagawa,
Yes, sir.
no?
Pero the problem is the hospitals are sending fraudulent claims. So example, they treated you for colds. So you paid for colds and then they will reimburse from PhilHealth. I don't know if you have experienced this when you go to the hospital. They will make you sign a blank document for PhilHealth claims.
Yes.
Oh, yun pala, that what happens is that they fill in the blanks. Pero yung reimbursement that they send PhilHealth is for a different illness or sickness. So that's a problem, sir. Even the medical construct can be, what if they give a different medical construct? What if? So a validation mechanism should validate the information that was sent to PhilHealth, one to the hospital, from the hospitals, another from the patient. Like for example, if you were treated for colds, and then you will receive a text message that the hospital so and so treated you for pneumonia. Is this true or not? And your bill is 45,000 pesos when you only paid for 1,000 pesos. Of course, you'll react, di ba? Normally, no, di ba? Yun, something like that is a good validating.
The problem is hospitals. Are the doctors also involved?
Yes.
Is that fair to say? That the doctors and the hospital is involved?
Yes, doctors, hospitals, and even members, because there are members claiming from PhilHealth benefits that are not theirs. Yun yung sinasabi niyo po kanina, napatay.
They have not cleansed their, para pala itong voters list pala ito, no? They have not cleansed the data and validated it. That's what we're saying.
Yan, they have not validated the data. Yan po.
So, dito pala sa PhilHealth, marami ding mga, pardon the expression, maraming commissioners. Maraming mga, pati ako, kumusta yung sa'yo. There are talks, we're hearing so many numbers. How much is PhilHealth, how much was really actually stolen? In your analysis?
the conservative estimate of COA from 2013 to 2018, 5 years, is they would have conservatively lost 153.7 billion. 2020 na ngayon. And they said it's probably more. And I believe na it could have been probably, it could be more than 200 billion from now, because who would know, kasi no one has validated, and there's no way you can validate the claims. As COA himself said, it's an unvalidated claim, so we really don't know. But more or less, it's 20 to 30%, maybe more.
Is the term mafia a correct way of saying that there is really a mafia inside Philhealth, or is there really a syndicate that's in control of, that they can close their eyes and they know where to get the money?
Mafia, godfathers are exact words, no? They have exact definitions and history. Pero pag sabi mong mafia-like operation, pwede. Pero as to determining na mafia sila, na para silang weteng, para silang drugs, mabigat po yun. Kailangan po yung imbestigahan, kasi unang-una, okay, if they're really mafia, it has to be an organization who kills people, who, diba, who fight for territory, and who gives you offers you cannot resist or pay you off money. Now, yun, mafia talaga yun. Now, whether or not there is Philhealth mafia or mafia-like operation has to be determined. Definitely, there is a mafia-like or syndicated-like operation because of the structure. Similar to a mafia structure, and if Philhealth has a structure also, there's a chairman, there's a president, there are regional officers who are in control of a certain jurisdiction. So, medyo meron similarity.
But in your Senate hearing, the one you attended, did you really identify who are the individuals that cases should be filed against? Because I recall there one SVP, a lady SVP, which I will no longer mention, said, reacting to your comment, said, mula ulo hanggang paa, hindi naman in-identify kung sino. Tapos wala namang ebidensya. That's what this lady SVP said. So, have we really actually narrowed it down and identified who are the individuals?
Yes, we have identified those individuals, and cases will be filed against them. And they've went through investigations already. They've answered our investigation. They were called upon our investigation. So yung sinasabi niyang yun, walang katotohanan yun, dahil hindi pwedeng wala ebidensya. PACC kami, that's what we do. We look for evidence and we investigate. So mula ulo hanggang paa talaga, that is the result. That is the perception that we are having from the investigations that we are conducting, that corruption involves both high and low ranking officials. You know what she should do? She should be honest and look at their operations and tell me right in my face, in front of everyone, if it is not possible for corruption to exist with such fragmented systems in IT and the way that they are conducting.
Another SVP from Philhealth during the congressional hearing was asked by a congressman, isa dyan si Marcoleta, said, meron bang padulas aside from the salaries that they receive, meron bang padulas? And I don't know whether this comes from their accreditation fund or some kind of funding that they are getting on the side. So in your own investigations, were there such a thing as a padulas?
From their side?
Yes. So Philhealth.
There are allegations like that, and there are doctors and hospitals coming up saying na money was being extorted from them. So these are not new issues and cases to us, But the thing is, in our investigation, we see the possibilities of these things happening. Because nga po, una, yun nga sasabi ko, wala nakakasuhan. Pangalawa, hindi naman nababalidate yung claim, and wala nagbabalidate ng claim. So bakit wala nagbabalidate ng claim? So these are all questions that and imaginations go through our head. Why this continues?
Si Senator Lacson came out with a statement na meron daw palakasan. I think sa mga release ng mga I think this is
IRMs.
sa fast release ng mga IRMs, no? Merong nabanggit na Tondo, First District, and then yung dates, halos pare-pareho. And then meron ding Quezon City, Second District, 8.9 million, April 22, and then May 4, na-release kagad. Quezon City, Second District, 5.3 million, April 22 at May 4. So ang bilis ng release. Do you think this is just purely incidental, or should we read something more to this?
Yes, I think Senator Lacson is correct in those investigations. We were also looking at that, and we're still looking at those payments. We have the list actually, and you will wonder. That's the thing, and he's correct in suspecting that these are in Tagalog suki. You know, these are because you can't do that to all the hospitals, especially the big hospitals. Because they have a strict accounting systems set in place. But the smaller hospitals, you can, or suki hospitals, you can.
Is it possible that to expedite the release, kailangang may ano yan, merong padulas,
Hatian.
may hatian, may padulas? Is that possible?
Posible po yan. Very possible. Meron dyan sa Cebu, diba?
How about yung, we've also heard about fake receipts, yung payment ng premiums ng mga OFWs. How is that? How is that coming along?
Yeah, same thing, sir. Kaya nga, fraudulent documents, di pa po, na unvalidated. So, yun po. That's why I'm saying na it's about the IT because fraudulent documents are passing through it without validation. So, it can come from the OFW, from the hospital, from the members. It can come from anyone. And the claims can come in, and it's just like sending a receipt and getting money from it already. That's how easy it has become.
Senator Mig Subiri talked about one hospital, hindi ko na lang banggitin saan banda, with 10-bed infirmary receiving 10 million pesos. Is that curious? Is that normal? Is that walang problema?
No, that's very abnormal. How will a 10-bed capacity hospital? That's what they have to explain. How will a 10-bed capacity hospital have had accumulated a reimbursement amounting to that amount? It's 10 beds, no? So ano masakit nun? And ano yung, I mean, what are your facilities that will facilities within your hospital that would amount to that expense? If you had facilities that are what do you call that, sophisticated, then you should have been a bigger hospital. Diba? So, yun, that has to be explained by Philhealth as well.
Final question to you, Commissioner Belgica, no? There have been calls to totally put up a new corporation in place of Philhealth. Some people are saying it should be a surgical way of expunging the disease inside the institution. From your perspective, if you were going to be asked, do we put up a new corporation, or do we just remove the bad eggs?
We remove the bad eggs, definitely. The Philhealth has a very good mandate. It's supposed to take care of our hospital bills. That's a very good mandate. The problem is the people running the Philhealth. So that's what you have to remove. Kaya po, I've been saying, no, that place can be cleaned up, and holes to the IT system can be plugged up into the legal system in less than 6 months. Why? Because it's an IT problem. ITs have solution already. You can buy it online. Even for the front end of Philhealth operations, you can buy solutions online, put it together to plug up the holes as to the claims and the disbursement, and have it validated before it's paid by Philhealth. In 6 months, at least 90% na improve na po natin siya.
Senator Ralph Recto said, yung mga natatanggap o nire-reimburse ng Philhealth, hindi ba mas maganda kung ilagay na lang sa internet, public domain, para nakikita ng publiko kung magkanong nabibigay at nagagastos ng Philhealth? What do you think?
Tama po yun. Transparency is always one of the strongest tool of an anti-corruption activity. So maganda po yung sinasabi ni Senator Ralph Recto niya.
At my final word is, may nagpapabati sa iyo, si Bobit Abila, ang ating columnist,
Yes, sir.
columnist natin sa,
Tito
sa,
Bobit.
sa Philippine Star at sa local paper dito sa Cebu. So,
All the best kay Sir Bobit, sir. Thank you.
okay. And regards to your father and to the entire
Thank you,
family,
Sir
and
Eric.
you're doing a good job. Ang problema ni Presidente, maghanap ng mga taong katulad mo na,
Thank you,
na
sir.
hindi magnanakaw sa bayan.
Tulong-tulong po tayo, sir. I guess I'd just like to ask our people and the especially government workers to help us in this fight against corruption. Give us informations. Go to our hotlines. We will keep your names anonymous, and pagtulong-tulungan po natin to because the quality of our work depends highly on the quality of informations we get. So especially if you're working for government, you have plenty of informations and you know the ins and outs. Let's help each other clean this government because while we are here and while we can do this the way we are doing this, let's do it po so we leave a better government and better country for the next generation.
Okay.
Salamat
Thank
po.
you very much. Yung po si Commissioner.
Thank you, Kuya Eric.
Regards. Regards to the family. And yan po ang kabuuan ng ating isang oras. Wala na po tayong panahon. Palagi kong sinasabi, magmasid, makialam, higit sa lahat ay manindigan. Dahil wala pong magmamahal sa Pilipino kung hindi ang Pilipino. Daghang salamat, maayong gabi kaninyong tanan.